guardian ad litem.
We can have the Abrams, please identify yourselves.
Ellen Jeffrey Abrams, father.
Devin Weiss, Ari's sister.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Hanson-Brown.
Okay, so we'll start with the petition to allow, Your Honor. So the first annual accounting has been reviewed by the guardian ad litem, and it has been found that it has been appropriate. The expenditures for Ari have been appropriate to, and for him, there was a sale of his real estate in that time period. Those funds were put into the conservator account and were used to provide for his care. Ari's family's commitment to his recovery has been amazing. But given that and the cost of care that is so immense, the funds have been depleted that would come from Ari. Any funds that were in the conservator account now have been gifts from his family, mainly from the conservator. And at this point, we do feel that the first petition to allow the accounts, that all of those expenditures should be allowed by the court, and that should be entered and allowed today. And then moving forward, that looking at the remaining balance was less than $600, that the conservators, as Ari has depleted the conservatorship estate, that it would be appropriate at this time to terminate the conservatorship as it relates to him. Ari's intentions and long-term goals is to go to a long-term, he will be residing in the state of Minnesota in attending long-term care, not in the facility, but through the Mayo Clinic there. He has made substantial strides in his recovery, but he needs to meet certain goals in order to qualify for that program. So at this point, by reducing the need for conservatorship, once the Abrams do get Ari appropriately domiciled in the state of Minnesota, it would be easier for them to seek the guardianship, which would then terminate our guardianship once he is a resident of that state. So I do ask, and the guardian ad litem has reviewed our petition for a termination of conservatorship and does agree with what I have stated, that the funds for the conservatorship have been depleted and the need for conservatorship for Ari Abrams no longer exists. So I ask you to allow the first annual accounting and to terminate the conservatorship going forward, and to allow, given that it's tax season and the Abrams use a CPA in order to do their accountings, if I could have 45 days to turn in a final accounting for them, depending on that schedule. I'm hoping, we had made them aware advance of this hearing, so I'm hoping they've carved out some time for us, but given that we're early March and that's their busy season, I don't want to presume that we would take top priority.
Do you want to address the petitions to modify guardianship as well?
Yes, Your Honor. I just didn't know if you wanted to look at everything as a whole, or if you wanted me to kind of do conservatorship first and then move forward. So I am more than happy to address those if you're ready, just because they're different numbers. So we have filed, on behalf of each co-guardian, we have filed a petition to appoint a standby guardian. They are both Ari's sisters. They have been intimately involved in his care thus far. Some of them live a lot closer, as in where ultimately he would be in Minnesota. We have one sister, Devin, who is joining us today, who lives in St. Louis, which is kind of a halfway point between where Ari is in Iowa right now and Minnesota. And then we have Miranda, who is residing in Minnesota. So this way, if something were to happen to either one or both of Ari's parents, and given the amount of travel that they do to provide for Ari, they both would feel a lot more secure in having his sisters be able to be standby guardians. And then that way, when they do move the case to Minnesota, that they can continue and ask that Minnesota, although they don't recognize a change of venue and we don't transfer cases from Michigan, but they could mirror what we've done here for them.
Mr. McFarland.
Your Honor, as far as the first accounting, I did approve that. I have been advised by the petitioners that there are no funds in the a conservatorship. There are no pending lawsuits or any other type of settlements. No anticipated additional incomes that would be going in that. So I don't have any objection to that, as it serves no meaningful purpose. There's already payee for Social Security benefits. As far as the guardianship, I'm always hesitant when there's a co-guardianship. In the event something happens to one and they're unable to make a mutual decision, then it's effective. Then it's really ineffective. So I think this is a wise solution to that issue, Your Honor. They have no criminality, no issues with child protective services. There's no history, objectionable history is what I'm saying. So I would support that also.
Very good. And you've been able to investigate that with regard to the request for the standby guardian, both standby guardians?
I have, Your Honor. I have been unable, though, to meet with Ari, as he is in Iowa, and he is non-communicative still at this time. I've noted that on my proof of service.
All right. All right, were any arrangements made to allow the court to view Ari or to provide him with, I mean, I understand if he's not communicative, it may be a futile, but nevertheless important piece to make sure that he was served and had the opportunity.
He was able to sign his proof of service. I did work with his facility in Iowa, and they thought that that would be a good occupational therapy exercise for him to do that. He said it was a little unorthodox, but that we appreciated the effort. He actually, and I think that there may be a little issue with the timing because mom is in Minnesota, as are several other people. They're about an hour behind us. I think this week, and my client can testify to this further, Ari was actually going to Minnesota to have an interview with the Mayo Clinic for those services that we seek. And I don't know if he's returned back to his home in Iowa yet. And so I don't know if we're interrupting him in travel with the date and time that was set for this. I had sent the Zoom instructions and a request for him to be here from his facility, but if he's not in the facility today, they couldn't facilitate that. But Mr. Abrams could maybe speak on that a little further.
Okay. Well, before we do that, I see his proof of service has been signed. It indicates a petition to terminate conservatorship, 2 petitions to modify the guardian, and the order of adjournment were served. And maybe I missed it, and you can point it out to me, but the petition to approve the first annual accounting.
So that was a previous proof of service, and the orders of adjournment that had followed were based on that initial filing that was done by Kelly Abrams several weeks ago.
All right. Very well.
Actually, maybe several months at this point.
It was my impression he was going to be available by Zoom today in my discussions. So.
All right, well, let's go to Mr. Abrams. Deputy Ames, would you swear him in, please?
Mr. Abrams, can you raise your right hand, please, sir? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Oh, Mr. Abrams, we're having a brief discussion about Ari's availability for today. Could you maybe explain to the court where you think why he may not be available for us this morning?
He should be back in Minnesota. I don't know what the schedule is, but they were trying to beat a snowstorm that was coming in, I guess. So I don't know. I called this morning and I didn't hear from anybody. So I don't know. I think he should be in Minnesota this morning sometime. I know there's a meeting this afternoon with the traumatic brain injury to people at Hennepin County. So they should be back for that meeting. That's as much as I know.
Okay. Does the court, or Mr. McFarland?
I have no questions. Sure.
Well, I've located what purports to be the proof of service for the annual report first account with petition to allow a notice of hearing that appears to have been served back in November of 2024 by Alan Abrams, Ari Abrams, and Kelly Abrams. So if there's another proof of service, I'd be happy to look at that.
Your Honor, the orders of adjournment that were based on that first annual accounting. So with that being served, the orders of adjournment, I didn't serve, as I was not on the case for that filing. I did not reserve that as the orders of adjournment were for that petition. The filings that I have done were new filings after that petition was already served.
All right, so it does look like we are missing a proof of service just for that annual report first account. And then secondarily, Mr. McFarland, it does appear that our diligent and duly assigned representative of probate court was able to make contact with Ari individually by phone as recently as February 24th, 2025. So I guess I'm wondering if you want some time to try to make contact with him.
Yeah, I was advised he was going to be on Zoom today to demonstrate that he was unable to effectively communicate, Your Honor, but I'll leave that to the court's discretion, or if the court wants some testimony from Mother who I spoke with about his ability to communicate.
I don't, well, we have Mr. Jeff Abrams here, and then I think we have our one of the proposed.
Okay, well then, she's not here.
Right.
And she's the one who advised me he was going to be available by Zoom and his inability to communicate, Your Honor. So I would have no objection doing that, so I could do my statutory service as I need to.
All right, I think that could be useful. Do you want, what I could do is take a brief adjournment?
I was just going to suggest that I can try right now.
Right.
Sure.
Okay, all right, so we can take a brief recess. If you could stay on the line with us, please, Mr. Abrams, at least, to see if we can help Mr. McFarland connect with Ari. And
If
then
you
we'll-
could, Mr. Abrams, if you would reach out to Kelly to let her